In today's video, we're going to do a follow-up on this. And surprisingly enough, this is probably one of the most watched videos that I've produced. I think it probably appeals to a lot of different demographics in terms of who wants this thing. And just as a reminder, this is the AutoCast Play to Video car adapter that's basically for wireless CarPlay, but one of the benefits that it has, which is why I got it, I've tested it, and I have a discount code for it, is because it has YouTube and Netflix built in natively. We'll go over the functions, we'll do an updated review on this thing, and we'll go over the good, the bad, and the ugly, I guess. And we'll start off. I mean, the purpose and operation of this thing is wireless CarPlay and watching things remotely. So next, let's go through a couple of the options, and then we can walk through some of the other questions. That's how quickly it connects to the unit. I've not had any issues with it connecting at all. It's been great. Obviously, here's the interface. You have Netflix, YouTube, you have some native controls that they have. One of the things, well, first we'll show CarPlay, right? So CarPlay loads automatically after you've been using the unit. I haven't driven the car in months, so it's basically initializing everything. But, you know, everything's the same as normal CarPlay, so no big deal there. One of the things that people say does not work on this is the screen mirroring, which I don't know if they're not following the directions or what, but we can walk through it together and I can show you that it does work. So if we do phone, it says set up your personal hotspot. So I'll go in here and personal hotspot is on. And as you can see, it connected. Now on the phone, we'll go through and we'll hit screen mirroring, and as you can see right there, it has the unit listed. There we go. So no issues there. And then we'll turn it off. So that was pretty straightforward. The other thing that people have issues with is launching one of the video apps. I'm not totally sure why. It seems to work fine for me. As you can see, I'm connected to my hotspot.
And super quiet, and it gives you this.
We'll mute Jonathan Rivers there for a second, but one thing that you have to realize is that the iPhones and also the Android phones have a timeout duration for your hotspots. And a lot of times when you're not using it for a while, even though it's turned on, it's not active. So you'll have to actually go and turn your hotspot off and on, and then it will work fine. So as you can see, we can go back to the normal menu here. And then if we want to go back to the AutoCast menu, and let's say I want to go back to CarPlay. Well, now it has to turn off the hotspot, okay, because it's going to use the phone. All right, so the good, minus the old head screen on the NSX, CarPlay works great. There's no issues with CarPlay. Pretty much every time that I start the car, it does connect on its own just fine. I honestly don't mess with anything on the screen. I only mess with, you know, loading up my music to start my drive, and then I head out. Everything works really well. As far as movement goes, I haven't had any issues with like the maps freezing or anything. Even when you go into Google Maps and put it onto satellite mode, that does take a lot more data to process through the CarPlay units, and it does fine. And as most of you know, especially from the prior videos, the NSX head unit is the tricky one. Typically any of the newer head units work just fine with any of these dongles, but I had a hell of a time trying to find one that worked well with the NSX, and this one does, which is why I like it. Obviously for my purpose, this is what I needed and it works well. Compatibility is another benefit. So another one of the good things about this thing is it's super compatible, obviously with this head unit, as well as I tried it on the TLX, on the Pilot. It does very well with touchscreens. It does not do well from a navigation perspective when you have a touch pad, or in the TLX's case, a true touch interface. And you know, I think those are the main components for me. Obviously, if I go back here and end up switching over and turning on one of the apps here to watch movies or something, this was a really big benefit for me. This is what I got the unit for. You know, a lot of times I'm on really long road trips, I'm sitting somewhere for a while and I need to zone out or do something, so I will watch a movie, a YouTube video, something on Netflix, and it allows me that capability when I need it. So as you can see, this just connected to the hotspot on its own. I didn't do anything. You can see up there also it's connected. So at this point, the application is totally using the wireless network off of my cell phone, which admittedly is not super right now. But it will load videos and play them. And
there's a new way to experience pizza. Chicago's Pizza with a Twist. It's a unique and flavorful combination of traditional.
So I'll show you this too, just so you can see it does go full screen. The video's smooth.
Stuff. It's ink, like for a pen? What in the hell? You better not have messed up my nails, Mr. Squidman.
We'll turn off the sound. But as you can see, video plays just fine, just like normal. No issues with it at all. Obviously, when you want to get out, you hit that, just like on the YouTube app, and then hit your home button and you're back. So those are the things that it does well. The things that it does not do well are phone calls and voice. And I know a lot of people have issues with that because obviously if you're using CarPlay, you're using it so that you don't have to use your phone. So if we hop into CarPlay here, we'll enable CarPlay and it'll switch back. So the voice can sound kind of robotic and not very native. I'll make a phone call here to Comcast, which is a local cable provider, and we can listen to what it sounds like on the speakers.
Hi, thank you for calling Xfinity. This call may be monitored or recorded. For more information about our privacy practices, visit us at xfinity.com/privacy. Para español, marque 9.
So you can see from that, the voice is clearly muffled and robotic on the CarPlay unit versus on the phone itself. The native Bluetooth for the NSX, it sounds fine. There is a slight delay when you speak from when the person on the other side of the phone can actually get the word coming through their earpiece. And that's, you know, I've tried a lot of the CarPlay dongles. That is universal on all of them. That's the same even on the stuff that has native wireless CarPlay in it. There is a slight delay from speaking until the other person hears what you're trying to say. So I don't fault that on AutoCast at all, but it does work. And you know, like we talked about, screen mirroring works fine. It has a really wide range of compatibility. The purpose and operation works well. There are slight hiccups with it, just like anything that's aftermarket. Obviously, these aren't the highest quality things, but for the price point, compared to the market, I'm really happy with it. Now, some of the things that aren't great, like we talked about, are the voice on the phone calls and also errors. People have shared errors. I've seen errors on other head units. It appears to be a head unit specific thing. Keep in mind, AutoCast does have a list of compatible vehicles and models listed. I would check and make sure that your vehicles are listed on there. I did, and I've had no issues with any of my vehicles that I've used this thing on. Now, as far as the ugly goes, it's really with AutoCast themselves. I think a lot of people have mentioned in the comments, you know, they're a Chinese company, and their customer support isn't ideal. And obviously I've worked with them off and on with different things and troubleshooting. I hadn't had a ton of issues, but I did ask for some help before I did this review, or this updated review, and they sent me an update to the actual dongle itself, a software update. I followed the directions, which the English is very difficult to follow for a native English speaker. It's clear that somebody who was not a native English speaker used Google Translate and put it in there. And I tried to update the unit with the directions and the downloads that they provided. Didn't do anything. So that's frustrating to say the least. I don't expect a ton of hand holding with something like this. I would like to think that I'm fairly tech savvy, and getting a software image to boot off of the files that they provided shouldn't be a big deal, but for some reason it is, and I can't get it to work. So that's the unfortunate part. I have reached out for help, I think a couple times in the last 2 weeks, and I've gotten nothing back. So that's the ugly. But overall, I mean, if I had to give this thing a scoring out of 10, it's probably a 7 out of 10 in my case. It works. It works for the things that I need it to on the head units that I need it to work on. The things that I don't necessarily need that may be deal breakers for other people are the voice sound and speaking. Obviously CarPlay and talking is important. I typically don't talk on the phone in the car. I want to listen to music and I want to see where I'm going. That's my two biggest things. Switching over and using the YouTube and Netflix apps, they are native, they are easy to use once you get in there. Making sure that you have your hotspot toggled on and you retoggle it on before you want to watch a video on one of those apps is important, because like I said, it can time out. And screen mirroring does work for me. It has no hiccups. It works really well and really quick. Not always needed when you have the native apps actually on the unit itself, but it's there if you need it for something. So yeah, other than that, I don't know anything from a technical support aspect, and obviously I've run into some issues myself getting tech support. So I would suggest if you have issues, reach out to the company. But my unit's been hiccup free. Like everything it does, it works. I don't have errors. I don't have things or times where it doesn't work. Every time I start the car, it works. It never has frozen during navigation when I've needed it the most, and I'm really happy with it.